High in the soaring mountains, overlooking the body of water the Franks called the Caspian Sea, stands Alamut, the unconquered citadel, the legendary Eagle's Nest. For over 8 centuries, it has remained the impregnable heart of the Nizari Ismaili sect, the ancient and secretive order more feared than loved. From this hidden bastion, the fabled Order of Assassins project their shadowy influence, striking terror into the hearts of princes, sultans, and kings, and heretic warlords alike. Within the austere stone walls of Alamut, the assassins, or Hashashini as they call themselves, are raised from infancy to master the lethal and esoteric arts. These masters of death are taught to bend the very fabric of time and space to their will, fusing martial prowess with mystic disciplines unknown to all but a handful of initiates. No deadlier killers walk this world, and no fortress better prepared to withstand both mortal armies and infernal legions than the home of the Eagles. Among the Ulema of the Iron Sultanate, many whisper that the Great Iron Wall, the colossal barrier built to shield humanity from the encroaching horrors of Jahannam, notably avoided Alamut. They claim it is a divine rebuke, a mark of Allah's disapproval of the assassin's heretical doctrine. But the mystic order only smile at such claims, their eyes gleaming with secret knowledge. They believe the ever-preserving set them apart because he knew they needed no walls. Their strength alone would suffice to protect them against the armies of hell and men alike. Though the fortress is a cloistered domain, few outsiders ever glimpse. On rare occasion, the master of the knives, the old man of the mountain himself, summons a chosen few. These envoys often awake to find a cryptic summons laid silently beside their bed, delivered by unseen hands during the night. None dare refuse such an invitation. Those who answer are met at the mouth of the Shirkuh Valley by hooded figures. Here, they are blindfolded and led along secret paths, their memories later veiled to prevent betrayal. Only in this way may one tread the path to Alamut, whose location and access remain hidden from even sorcerers and seers. Tales abound from those rare souls who return from Alamut's shadowed halls. They speak of heavenly gardens nestled within the fortress, lush with flora, unseen outside the lands of paradise. They whisper of immense libraries where ancient scrolls and forbidden tomes rival the famed House of Wisdom in Baghdad. Laboratories filled with arcane instruments and alchemical devices hum with knowledge centuries ahead of the outside world, where philosophers, dervishes, theologians, and scientists of the Dervish Ismaili order debate mysteries of the cosmos and the spirit. Yet, of the old man in the mountain himself, tales diverge wildly. Some describe a young man, vigorous and swift, clad in a spotless white cloak, whose piercing gaze sees into the soul. Others recount a figure of profound antiquity, a gaunt elder wrapped in a black kilat, stitching with tiraz dyed the colour of fresh blood. Whether through mystic illusions or more arcane means, no two visitors perceive the same visage. Some say this is deliberate, a subtle warning that the master of Alamut is beyond the bounds of time, a living embodiment of their hidden arts. Yet, on one point all witnesses agree. Around the old man's neck hangs a simple iron chain, bearing a single ring, the seal of Solomon. Engraved with the ancient glyphs of power, legend claims this relic is no mere symbol, but the true seal given by Allah to Solomon the Wise, granting dominion over spirits, shaitan, and the mightiest of jinn. It is whispered that it is this relic and the ancient pacts it empowers that shields Alamut from the abyssal forces seeking to tear the world apart. Indeed, for all their power, the legions of hell have never breached the Eagle's Nest. Beelzebub's foul order, the Fly, masters of the plague and decay, will not cross into the Shirkuh. Even the dreaded Black Grail, that hideous blight that warps flesh and soul into abominations, has never darkened its land. some divine ward, older than memory, holds the powers of hell at bay. Yet mortal enemies have not forgotten Alamut. The Prince of Wrath, Abaddon the Destroyer, has placed a bounty on the fortress, eternal youth and infernal favor to any heretic warlord who can take the home of the Eagles. Thus, every decade sees new assaults launched against the impenetrable fortress, each more ambitious than the last, and each ending in bloody failure. The heretic legions often find their commanders dead before a sword is drawn, murdered in their beds by unseen blades, or strangled by poisoned drinks. Whole armies vanish without a trace, alliances unravel overnight, and well-laid plans collapse into dust. The assassins strike where least expected, sowing fear and chaos among their enemies, long before the first siege engine is raised. The Valley of Shirkuh itself conspires to protect Alamut. Bordered to the east by the towering Alamut range, the throne of Solomon, and flanked by rugged cliffs and standing stones carved with ancient, runic wards, the approach is all but impossible. For much of the year, the fierce torrent of the Alamut River renders the valley's mouth inaccessible. Even when the waters subside, invaders must pass through narrow, easily defended ravines, where a handful of marksmen and artillery can annihilate entire columns with impunity. The fortress is protected from the skies as well. Warships of the Iron Sultanate patrol the air above the valley, their gleaming hulls bristling with their thunderous weaponry, ensuring no aerial force can penetrate the skies of Alamut. Though the Sultanate issues no public proclamation regarding the assassins, it is well understood among the strategists of New Antioch that this protection is the price paid for the Order's silent services. The quiet elimination of enemies the Sultanate would rather see fall without the need for open war. Beyond mere geography and mortal protection, stranger forces defend Alamut. Heretic long-range artillery, guided by infernal compasses and blessed by demon lords, finds its shell veering off course, crashing harmlessly into distant mountains. Infantry units attempting to march upon the walls become lost, even with maps and guides. Time flows irregularly in Shirkuh. Soldiers find themselves aged beyond recognition in a matter of days, collapsing into dust before their banners can be raised in the sight of the citadel. Magic itself falters here. Prayers to the dark gods of Jahannam go unanswered. Infernal contracts are torn apart by unseen hands. Even the fortress itself plays tricks upon those who approach. Some invaders see nothing but mist and sky where Alamut should stand. Others are driven mad by glimpses of shifting, impossible architecture, towers that vanish, gates that open into bottomless chasms, and walls that dissolve when approached. To simply look upon Alamut is to be tested, and many fail. Survivors of failed sieges speak of an overwhelming aura of dread hanging above the valley, a living menace that gnaws at the soul. Even the most hardened heretic generals, veterans of 1,000 abominable wars, often falter at the threshold of Alamut's domain. Only fools or the truly desperate dare to mount another assault after witnessing the fate of their predecessors. Thus has Alamut endured. For over 800 years it has stood unbowed, a lonely bulwark against the rising tide of darkness. Neither mortal ambition nor infernal wrath has broken its walls, and so long as the old man of the mountain bears the seal of Solomon, the eagle's nest shall remain an unconquered sanctuary, a symbol of defiance against the forces of hell and the treacheries of men. Now, Alamut existed in the real world too. It has its own interesting history that I believe Crusade took a lot from, so let's quickly go over that before I give you my thoughts on this new lore piece. The fortress of Alamut lies high in the rugged mountains south of the Caspian Sea, in the region historically known as Dalam. According to the tradition, it was first established in the 9th century. The name Alamut is often translated as Eagle's Nest, or the Nest of Punishment, a fitting title for its formidable and isolated location. Alamut's most significant historical role began in the late 11th century, when it became the headquarters of the Niziri Ismaili movement, led by Hassan-i-Saban. The Ismailis were a sect of Shia Islam, following a line of imams distinct from the Twelver Shia majority. Facing intense persecution from Sunni rulers and other rivals, they sought refuge in a remote stronghold, where they could defend themselves and maintain autonomy. In 1090 CE, Hassan-i-Saban seized Alamut through a cunning and largely bloodless operation. It is said that he infiltrated the fortress gradually by sending his agents to settle in the area, slowly winning over its garrison. Once strong enough, he revealed his control, and the fortress passed into Ismaili's hands without a full-scale assault. Thus began the era of the Nizari Ismaili state, with Alamut as its heart. Hassan-i-Saban is one of the most enigmatic figures of Islamic history. Born in Persia, he initially studied Twelver Shi'ism before converting to Ismailism. A brilliant strategist and an uncompromising idealist, he built a tightly disciplined religious community centered around the fortress. At Alamut, Hassan established a society dedicated to knowledge, faith, and survival. The Nazaris were surrounded by enemies, the powerful Seljuk Turks, the rival Shia groups, and later the Crusaders. Militarily, they could not hope to compete through conventional warfare. Thus, they developed a unique method of defense, the targeted assassinations of key enemies. Hassan found a network of trained agents known as the Fidaun, those who sacrificed themselves. These men were rigorously educated, deeply loyal, and often willing to die for the cause. They became the historical core of the Order of Assassins, as they later became known in the West. The term assassin itself is believed to derive from the Arabic hashashiyun, a derogatory label suggesting that the Nazaris used hashish to induce visions and loyalty, though this claim is debated and probably originated from their enemies as propaganda. The Fidaun specialized in high-profile killings of political, religious, and military leaders that were considered threats to the Nazari cause. Their attacks were usually carried out with knives or short swords in public places, often before witnesses, to magnify the psychological impact. And their method was not random murder, but a careful calculation. By eliminating key figures, governors, generals, even viziers, the Nizari could destabilize enemy leadership without the need for mass warfare. Famous assassinations include Nazim al-Mulk, the Seljuk vizier, who was murdered in 1092 by a Fidai disguised as a Sufi, or Conrad of Montferrat, a prominent Crusader king in the Kingdom of Jerusalem, who was assassinated in 1192, 100 years later. These attacks created an aura of terror around the assassins. Leaders slept uneasily, fearing silent infiltrators. Armies hesitated to act against them, knowing that commanders could be killed even within the safest castles. European crusaders encountered these operations firsthand and began to weave legends around the assassins. Stories told of secret societies whose members were drugged with hashish, enchanted by visions of paradise, and sent to kill on command, expecting death. Marco Polo later added to these myths, describing a secret garden of paradise where the old man of the mountain, the mysterious leader, offered young men glimpses of eternal bliss to secure their fanatical loyalty. While colourful, these tales have little historical foundation and reflect medieval Europe's misunderstanding and fear of Islamic secret societies. Beyond their lethal frame, the Nizari community at Alamut was a centre of scholarship and learning. Under Hassan and his successors, the fortress became a repository of scientific, philosophical, and religious knowledge. Alamut housed extensive libraries containing works on mathematics, astronomy, medicine, theology, and philosophy, especially that on Neoplatonism and Islamic philosophy. Some historians believe that Nizaris preserved knowledge that was threatened by the political instability of the wider Islamic world. The fortress was also fortified with sophisticated architecture, including multiple walls, secret passages, self-contained water supplies, and terraced gardens. Hassan himself lived austerely. Despite his power, he adhered strictly to his religious principles, reportedly ordering the execution of his own son when he violated the community's laws. After Hassan's death in 1124, the leadership of the Nizari state passed through a series of successors, collectively known as the Old Men of the Mountain, a title popularized in Europe. While still potent, the assassins faced growing pressure from Sunni Muslim powers and emerging Mongol forces. The greatest threat came with the rise of the Mongol Empire in the 13th century. The Mongols, under Hulagu Khan, saw the Nizaris as a strategic threat that had to be eliminated. Their psychological warfare held no fear for the Mongols, who were as ruthless as the assassins themselves. In 1256, after a series of brutal campaigns, Alamut finally fell to Hulagu's army. The Mongols systematically destroyed Nizari fortresses across Persia and Syria, killing thousands, and Alamut's libraries were looted or burned. And much of the accumulated wisdom was lost forever, thus ending the Nizari state of Alamut. The assassins as a political force were shattered, though Nizari Ismailism survived, dispersing into smaller, scattered communities that continue under the leadership of Aga Khan. Despite their destruction, the assassins left a powerful legacy. Their impact on the politics of the medieval Islamic world was profound. Rulers often hesitated or altered plans out of fear of their reach. In the West, distorted accounts of the assassins influenced the development of the modern notion of secret societies, especially the ideas surrounding the Illuminati and the Templars, and later popular media representations of hidden orders manipulating world events from the shadows. In contemporary Islamic thought, the Nizari Ismailis evolved into a peaceful and progressive branch of Islam. The community today emphasizes education, charity, and interfaith dialogue rather than political violence. Historically, the assassins demonstrated that small, disciplined minorities could wield immense power through strategy, intelligence, and psychological warfare. Lessons still studied by insurgent groups and intelligence agencies. Alamut and the Order of Assassins occupy a unique in-between in history and legend. The reality was more complex than the myths. The assassins were not mindless killers, but an embattled community striving to survive amid overwhelming hostility. Their methods were brutal but precise, born of necessity, and deeply rooted in a religious and philosophical worldview that valued sacrifice, loyalty, and the survival of the faithful. Alamut itself was not just a fortress of war, but a beacon of learning and a bastion of spiritual resilience. In the centuries since its fall, the eagle's nest has remained an enduring symbol of secrecy, resistance, and the power of faith against impossible odds. I personally love the story of Alamut and of course the Order of Assassins, not just because I love Assassin's Creed. Of course Assassin's Creed has its own take on Alamut, but I believe the take in Trench Crusade is probably much more similar to the one in our real history. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the Mongols were the biggest threat to the people of Alamut. They were the ones who eventually destroyed the temple and destroyed the Order of Assassins. As we know, in Trench Crusade, the Mongols are there as the Golden Khanate, but they seem to be somewhat on the same side as the Order of Assassins. But I feel there must definitely be tension there, just as I feel like the Mongols themselves must have tension with almost all the faithful forces. Now, I don't know exactly how much more we're going to get on Alamut. I feel like keeping it this kind of secretive level is probably what's best for Trench Crusade, because they're such a enigmatic order and such an enigmatic idea, and the assassins are so cool. I feel like revealing too much about them might actually work against it. But I personally love this little lore drop and the artwork. Oh my goodness, look at what Alamut looks like. It's so well designed. See, that's one thing I've always got to say about Trench Crusade. The artwork is just beautiful. Anyway, yeah. Hi, I'm back. It's been like a month. But so many new people have subscribed in that time. Hello and welcome to the channel. We're nearing 2,000 subscribers, which is kind of insane. I want to do something special for that. I'm certainly going to try to. I'd like, if people are interested, to do a video on a different topic, on a different lore thing, whether it's Star Wars, Elder Scrolls, Halo, Warhammer, even anything else. I'd like to work on multiple projects. Like, I love Trench Crusade, but I also want to focus on some of my other passions, like Lord of the Rings, or other fantasy novels that I'm so interested in, or science fiction, like the Three Body Problem. I used to talk about more than just history, and of course, I love Trench Crusade, love talking about it, but I do want to bring more into the channel. So yeah, if you have any recommendations of what to make for a 2,000 subscriber special, along with a Trench Crusade video, because I still have a lot to catch up on. I still have to do a Temple of Metamorphosis video. I have to look at the Synod of Strategic Prophecy. I have to look at the Trench Ghosts, who have gotten a new lore thing recently, haven't they? Yeah. So let me guys know. I'm going to put up a poll to see what you want next from Trench Crusade, and then I'm going to put up a poll of what you would like for the 2K special. What world or lore video would you like for that? Thank you all for watching. I'll try and make another video within a week this time. I won't leave it a month. See you guys. Thanks for watching, and thank you for subscribing and coming along with me for this journey, because nearly 2,000 is insane to me. Thank you.